A decorated black Army veteran is wrongfully held at gunpoint by a racist police officer. But everything changes when he reveals his military identity. This emotionally charged, true-to-life story exposes the harsh realities of racial profiling, the power of presence, and the unspoken struggles black veterans face on American soil. The Georgia heat clung to the air like a stubborn film, thick and unrelenting. Sergeant Major Malcolm Brooks had just wrapped a long day mentoring at a youth leadership seminar, a duty he'd taken on in between deployments. Though now on medical leave after his third tour in Afghanistan, the military was still very much in his marrow. Clean posture, concise speech, eyes sharp like the edge of a blade. He didn't wear his uniform anymore, but he always carried his military ID and tags. Not because he wanted recognition. He didn't care for titles, but because it was who he was. He'd earned that identity with blood, sweat, and sand in his teeth. Driving his black Chevy Tahoe through the suburbs of Stonecrest, he was humming Otis Redding when flashing blue and red lights erupted in his rear-view mirror. He wasn't speeding. No tail light out. His plates were up to date. Still, he pulled over. The cop car door flung open. A tall, white officer, Officer Carter, stepped out, hand already resting on his holstered weapon. No smile, no wave, just that slow walk that screamed, "This ain't a courtesy stop." Malcolm exhaled and kept his hands on the wheel. The officer shouted, "Step out of vehicle, now." Malcolm remained calm. "Officer, may I ask?" "Now. Hands where I can see 'em." Malcolm complied. He moved slowly, deliberately, exiting with palms visible. "Turn around and get on your knees." Malcolm paused. "Officer, I'm not resisting. I'd like to understand why." The gun was out now, trembling slightly in Officer Carter's grip. "I said down. Now." Malcolm went to his knees, the gravel biting into them. He glanced at the surrounding houses, blinds twitching, phones recording, yet no one stepping out. "What did I do?" Malcolm asked again. Carter didn't answer. He stepped forward, eyes flickering from Malcolm's face to his license plate, like he was trying to reconcile something in his head. "You match a description," he finally said, breath fast. "Stolen vehicle. Armed suspect. Black male, mid-30s, driving a black SUV." Malcolm gave a bitter smile. "Of course. Is the suspect also 6 feet 3 inches with a limp and 20 years in the U.S. Army?" he asked calmly. I said quiet. From the corner of his eye, Malcolm saw another patrol car pull up. Back up. A younger Hispanic officer, Officer Ruiz, emerged. His posture was different. Cautious but not hostile. "Carter, what's going on?" Ruiz asked. "Suspect matches a bolo." Ruiz looked Malcolm over. "Where's the weapon?" "Never had one," Malcolm said. "I have my ID in my wallet, left side, back pocket." "May I?" Carter moved to frisk him, gun still out, but Ruiz held up a hand. "Hold up. Let's de-escalate a minute." Ruiz turned to Malcolm. "You said you're Army?" Malcolm nodded. "Sergeant Major. U.S. Army. Retired. My military ID is in the wallet." Ruiz carefully retrieved it, eyes widening as he read the name and rank. He looked up, visibly shaken. "Sir, I thank you for your service." Carter's hand wavered. His gun finally lowered. Malcolm stood, knees scraped and raw. "You held a decorated veteran at gunpoint," Ruiz whispered to Carter, "for driving while black." The air was still as Malcolm leaned against his vehicle, stretching his sore leg. A quiet tension hummed, the weight of nearly becoming a statistic. Ruiz apologized profusely. Carter stood stiff, eyes darting, lips tight. "No apology. May I ask," Malcolm said slowly, voice low, "was there really a bolo?" Ruiz hesitated. "Not for this area. We've had similar reports. Another county over. But the suspect was 5 feet 9 inches, no limp. And the SUV was a different make. So just the color of my skin and the shape of my car." Malcolm said. Silence. He looked Carter in the eye. "You ever point a gun at a white veteran without cause?" Carter said nothing. Malcolm handed Ruiz a card. "If this doesn't go in the report, I'll make sure it's in the news. I've had enough of surviving wars overseas just to come back and be hunted here. 2 weeks later, Malcolm's story hit the local press. He didn't seek fame, only truth. The dash cam footage, reluctantly released, painted the picture clearly. A man targeted not for his actions, but for the color of his skin. The public response exploded. Veterans groups rallied behind him. Civil rights organizations demanded reform. Officer Carter was placed on leave pending investigation. Malcolm testified before a state police review board. When asked if he hated Officer Carter, Malcolm replied, "No, but I fear the next man Carter points a gun at might not be as calm, might not have an ID to prove his worth, might not survive." At a community town hall weeks later, Malcolm stood to speak. "I'm not here because I'm a veteran. I'm here because I'm a black man who almost didn't get to tell a side of the story. I served this country because I believed in its ideals, even when it didn't believe in me. But belief without accountability is hollow, and accountability starts here, in how we train our officers, in how we teach our children, in how we treat strangers. Don't just thank me for my service. Fight for a country that won't mistake a black man's calm for criminal intent." The room rose in applause, but Malcolm didn't smile. Not because he wasn't grateful, but because he knew there were 1,000 others like him who never got to stand and speak. This story echoes a painful truth, that identity can be both protection and a target. Blackness, in many spaces, comes before credentials, before service, before humanity. It's a reality that must be dismantled not just by outrage, but by structural change. Real justice means no one has to prove their worth to be safe.